Hello guys, welcome to the current series of JMeter tutorial for beginners. So in this series we are going serial wise, and the current video is what is performance testing. So let us just start about it. So first of all, what is performance testing, right? So what is performance testing? Now it is something to check the ability, right, of the system. Now it can be in multiple ways, right? For example, how much load a system can bear. For example, this is a system, right? So what we'll be doing is we will be pushing its limits, right? For example, say we'll be adding some users to it, right? So over here there are some users who are coming. Now this system is designed for a maximum of 500 users. Consider that one arrow is 100 users, right? So over here, would the system be able to bear this much of users? Say 100 users, right? 100 users. Then the same way 100 users and so on, right? So would the system be able to bear it? Now first of all, what we would be doing is we would be checking how many users it is able to bear. We don't know whether it is designed for 500 users or not, right? So we need to know the capacity as well, right? So what is the capacity? Now for capacity we need to have some measures, right? Now capacity in terms of users, right? Then the next thing, one more thing, suppose this is capable of 500 users only. So in this case we are sending in how many users? 500 users only, right? So it is able to bear this load. Now one another thing, that is a normal load. What if you would want to see its capacity, say in terms of data, right? That is also a type of performance testing. We should be able to know whether this system is capable of processing data or not, right? How much data it can process. So that is another thing. Now one more thing, in performance testing we also check one more thing, that is the, say, responsiveness, right? So we also check the responsiveness of the system. Now what is responsiveness? Suppose these users are coming in over here, right? So we should get responses in a very short span of time. For example, we should get responses with 50 ms of time. Now this is say very fast. What if instead of replying with 50 ms, these users are getting a speeds of only say 5000 ms, right? Now this is a very huge time. This means that 5 seconds, right? Now what if instead of 5 seconds we get a lot more time, say this much time, right? Say 5 minutes as well. Instead of say 1 minute, or you can say that 2 minutes, we are getting the responses. Now 2 minutes is also a default, say, timeout period, right? So we are getting responses in this particular timeline. Now this means that the application is not able to bear the load. The optimal response time should be between 50 ms to 500 ms, right? 500 ms is a very huge time, but still it can vary between these times. But 2 minutes is very long, right? So over here we should know that whether the application is responsive or not, right? How much fast it is, how much fast it is able to, say, provide the responses to the user, right? Now one more thing, all the, let's say, scenarios should be run well, right? Now whenever we talk about a scenario, we go with the happy path scenario. Now in happy path scenario, right? In a happy path scenario, what we have is we go with the, say, the basic things that everyone uses. For example, the very basic flow that everyone uses in the application. For example, say if it is a e-commerce website, then everyone would be coming, adding the, say, products, and then they'll be ordering the items, right? So it should be able to perform all the steps in a very fast way, right? Now these are the main things: capacity, that is how many users it can bear, and how much data it can bear, and how fast the application is. If any of these things fail, right, for example, if the capacity is lesser, right, and we are facing a lot of users, then also it would affect the application, right? The application won't work properly. Now, in case of the data, suppose we are getting a lots and lots of data to be processed. If it is not able to process that data, again, we are the ones like who will be facing. For example, consider a application, right? And say we have a small application, this, right? Now, this application serves a lot of users. What if the users face issues? Would they be using it? Actually, no. Reason? Application is slow, it is unreliable, right? So people will immediately stop using the application. That we don't want, right? Our goal is not to make people stop using the application. Our goal is something else. We want people to use this application so that it should benefit us, right? So what companies do is they test their applications for performance testing, so that the application should be responsive and it should load in time. And if it is not able to, then say we should be able to suggest that what changes need to be done, right? So this was for performance testing, and we have multiple different types of performance testing as well. So let us just learn about that. So what are the different types of performance testing? First one is load testing. Now what is load testing? In this, we put on the load to the application, right? And we just check how many users it can bear, right? So how many users it can bear, right? Now the next thing is, and the next one is volume testing, right? So volume testing. Now in volume testing, what do we check, right? So in volume testing, we just put on the, or you can say that, large volume of data to be, what happened, to be processed, right? So we do these things in case of volume testing. Now the next thing, that is, say, stress testing. Okay, coming back to volume testing, large volume of data to be processed. This means that we will check by sending a large file, for example 1 GB of file to be processed, and we'll see how much time it takes. It should not take a lot of time to process, right? So if it is taking a lot of time to be processed, then this means that the server is slow and we need to work on the server and the application both, right? The next one is stress testing, right? So in stress testing, what do we do, right? So in this kind of testing, what we have is, we specify the we analyze the performance, right? We just check the behavior of the application under increasing load, right? Whenever I'm talking about load, this means the increasing users, right? And we not not about increasing the load, actually increasing the load beyond the system design expectations, right? So say above designed expectations. Now the next one is soak testing. So what is soak testing? Now some people name it as soak testing, some people name it as endurance testing, right? So it has multiple names, but the thing is that what we do in soak testing is we just put on the system under a high load for a prolonged period. Okay, high load for longer periods. Okay, and we just check whether the software can handle the expected load or not, right? Then the next one, that is, just a second, let me just clear the screen. Okay, so then the next one is spike testing. Now spike testing. Okay, now spike testing, as the name said, it should have some spikes. So let us just understand it with the help of a diagram. So suppose this is our graph, right? Now over the period of time, this is a time graph, right? Now over the period of time, what we would be doing is we would be putting on loads, right? So we would be increasing load. Now what way? Let us just see that. So suppose we start with this particular point. I increase the load, then I decrease the load, then again I increase the load, then again I decrease the load. So I'm just putting in the loads time to check whether the application is working fine or not, right? It doesn't matter that how much load I'm putting in. I'm just putting in some instant load. For example, a large number of people come and use the application and then go after, say, sudden timelines. For example, this is needed. Okay, let's just go with the example. This is needed where the say application needs to be tested with the immediate user load. For example, the best thing is, if you might have seen Amazon putting in lightning deals, right? Suppose there is a new product launch. Now for example, OnePlus, right? They come up with or OnePlus, or you can say the Xiaomi, they come up with a flash sale model, right? So in that flash sale model, the user load spikes immediately, right? For example, the sale is at 12 p.m., right? So before 12 p.m., for example, at around 11:30 a.m. or 11:45 a.m., there won't be any load. But immediately, just around 12 p.m., the load would increase so much that the servers are not able to handle requests, right? So this kind of testing, we call it spike testing. In there is a spike load of users, and it is all of a sudden. It is not expected that they would come up, right? In these flash sale models, they are expecting a lot of users, but in a normal way, we don't expect. So what happens is that we just immediately put on the load, right? This was for performance testing and its types. Thank you. Now in this series, just a second, we'll be learning about performance testing fundamentals with JMeter in the next video. Then we'll learn how we can install JMeter on Macintosh machines as well. Some of you guys might be using JMeter on Macintosh. Then we'll be learning, we'll be getting to know how we can crack a JMeter interview, right? Now, in this whole series, we'll be learning about other things as well, the basic fundamentals of script building. The second basic fundamentals of script building, we have two different things in this. First one is making use of automated recorders, and the second one is manually recording a script, right? So if you guys have idea about these things, how you work with them, if you already know how you can work with them, you can simply move on to the other modules as well. For example, understanding requests and responses. But I would suggest you guys to go through the script building fundamentals too. It is a very important thing whenever you are working with a say script, right? So we are covering a lot of things over here as well. Just watch the playlist, and everything is here in this playlist as well. Thank you. And don't forget to put on the comments over here in our website as well. If you have any comments, or if you have any queries, you can feel free to ask over here as well, right? Thank you.